Poštovani gledatelji, dobrodošli u Eurointervju. Nakon burnog tjedna u kojem su Zagreb i Ljubljana nakon 2 desetljeća sa mrtve točke uspjeli pokrenuti spor oko Ljubljanske banke, zanima nas je li sada napokon hrvatski put prema članstvu u Uniji prohodan ili je odgoda ulaska i dalje moguća. Odgovore na ta pitanja pokušat ćemo dobiti od gostiju u studiju Europskog parlamenta. Pozdravljam Libora Roučeka, parlamentarnog izvjestitelja za Hrvatsku. Dobrodošli.
Hvala vam.
S nama je i Tanja Fajon, slovenska europarlamentarka. Dobrodošli u studiju Europskog parlamenta.
Hvala.
Pozdravljam i Andreja Plenkovića, hrvatskog promatrača u Europskom parlamentu. Dobrodošli u Eurointervju.
Hvala na pozivu i lijepi pozdrav svim gledateljima Hrvatske televizije.
Mr. Rouček, is there a real chance for Ljubljanska banka issue to be resolved in coming weeks?
There is a chance and there has to be a chance because this issue has to be resolved so that Croatia is member 1st of July of this year. So I do hope that governments of both countries will work hard and this issue will be solved.
Mrs. Fajon, 3/4 of Slovenians are in favor of ratification Croatia's accession treaty. If a vote in Slovenian parliament were held today, what should be the outcome?
I'm sure, as you said, that Slovenians are very much in favor that Croatia enters the European Union by 1st of July this year. I'm sure that the vote would be a positive one, and we are doing everything on Slovenian side to assure that Croatia becomes a member this July and that the ratification process will happen on time. So I have quite a confidence that both sides, Slovenian and Croatian, together with the experts, will find a good solution for both sides, for the citizens, because it is really important. It's not only important for the enlargement process in the long run as a sign for the other countries of the Western Balkan, but if we just look at the cooperation between Slovenia and Croatia, it's important for the economic cooperation, for political, and especially for people-to-people contacts. And I'm confident that we will make it.
Mr. Plenković, recently ministers from both sides have speed up negotiations on Ljubljanska banka issue. Is this a result of a push from Brussels or not?
Well, first of all, we would have preferred that this issue has been addressed already, since it has been more than 13 months since the signature of the accession treaty back in December 2011. Of course, it is, I would say, a fruit of the dialogue between the two countries, as well as the results of the several meetings of the financial experts. But at the same time, we can all notice that there is a serious concern among our friends here, MEPs in the Parliament, among the Member States, in the Commission, in all the actors which are observing this dialogue between two normally very friendly, neighbourly countries. And I'm sure that we will all do our utmost to address the issue so there is a fruitful and timely ratification of our treaty in the Slovenian Parliament whilst it is still in session.
Mrs. Fajon, due to present political situation in Slovenia, has Prime Minister Janša enough power to start the ratification process before the end of February?
I think it is possible and realistic. It very much depends on the talks and the negotiations between the experts and the ministers, and of course whether the governments will at the end support the proposal of both ministers and the experts. There is sufficient time. We can proceed with the ratification on the February session. You know well as well that the foreign minister will soon resign, but he wants to stay in place to bring this issue till the end. It is very important for Slovenia. We as well in Socialists and Democrats really appeal our Prime Minister to do everything not to delay the process. And I am, as I said before, very confident that we can do it, because any time later than February might be very dangerous, because we don't know what the political situation will be in Slovenia and what can still happen with the Parliament and with the confidence potentially vote to the Prime Minister, and of course how the government will reconstruct if that will be the direction.
Mr. Plenković, on a daily basis you are in contact with the members of the European Parliament here in Strasbourg and in Brussels. How majority of them react on the present dispute between Croatia and Slovenia?
Well, unfortunately, it is not the first open issue which has arrived at the table of the European Parliament. We had a similar situation a couple of years ago during the accession negotiations when the border dispute was the key issue, actually blocking more or less 18 months of the accession period for Croatia. The MEPs, of course, are concerned. These are the issues which are very uncomfortable. They create tensions. They are not something that Europe as a project is keen to see on the agenda. And therefore, they all appeal to us to find a common solution and not to repeat such situations in future enlargements. And therefore, if you recall, Croatian Parliament has just more or less at the time of the end of the negotiations back in 2011 adopted a declaration clearly saying that the bilateral issues should not be part of someone else's integration process. So we are in close dialogue. We are trying to explain the situation and, of course, foster the clarity as much as we can.
Mr. Rouček, despite general optimism, enthusiasm regarding 1st of July as a target entry day for Croatia, should Brussels be ready for a possible delay, and is there a plan B for Croatia?
There is no plan B. Everybody is counting on July the 1st. So nobody is thinking in those categories to delay the entry, because I think it will be a big blow to the enlargement process, as Tanya already mentioned. I think it will be also a big blow to the atmosphere in Europe, because if you look, this year, the euro crisis being solved. There is a positive mood. Part of that positive mood will be the enlargement this year. So I think that would be a very, very unfortunate situation. So nobody is thinking in those categories. Let's focus on solving the issue. Positive energy. If our Croatian and Slovenian friends do this, we do the same. And I'm confident that 1st of July, Croatia will be member of the EU.
But what political, financial and other trouble can appear if that target entry day is missed?
As I already mentioned, it would be the blow to the European concept. It would be blow to the enlargement, because we also shouldn't forget that in some of our member states, people are a bit tired, what we call enlargement fatigue. And if they would get some bad example, if Slovenia and Croatia wouldn't be able to solve the issue, so then the people would think, okay, so if these two countries are not capable, so how the Serbs or the Kosovars or the Macedonians, how they can deal with. So I think that would be a big blow. And also would be bad news for Croatia, because of course Croatia wouldn't be able to participate on the political decision making. Money would be delayed. Would be also a big blow to Slovenia, because everybody expects from Slovenia to behave in a responsible way, not to block the enlargement, not to block the ratification. So if we sum it up, so nobody can imagine this scenario, and let's think positively. Let's put our positive energy into solving this one of these the last remaining stumbling block, and make sure that Croatia, 1st of July, is the member.
Mr. Plenković, Mr. Rouček has mentioned money. What financial consequences may follow for Croatia if that 1st of July is missed?
Well, indeed, I agree with Libor, whose report on Croatia is a very positive one, and we look forward for the adoption of his report very soon in the plenary. I think that the plan B should not be envisaged as such politically. Legally, first of all, we will have to see whether the agreement as it was signed in December 2011 can survive if the deadline is missed. So there is a legal debate whether something should be renegotiated or redrafted. In terms of finance, of course, Croatia would not be a member. Thus, there would be no our contribution. Thus, there would be no availability of the funds which were negotiated in the financial envelope during the negotiations. And certainly, it would be an extremely bad signal for the European Union today. It has never, ever occurred in the history of the Union that the foreseen date of one country's accession has not been respected. So from that point of view, I would stick to what Libor said. Let's work on the plan A as the only plan, and that is the Croatia 28th member on the 1st of July.
Mrs. Fajon, do you share the view of Mr. Rouček and Mr. Plenković that the aftermath of possible delay is going to be catastrophe even for Slovenia?
I prefer as well not to talk what would be the B scenario or what can happen if Croatia doesn't become a member in July. Let's focus now on this targeted day. It's very important for the credibility of European Union as well for Croatia. But don't forget, on the other hand, that we are still awaiting, I have to mention, the progress report, the last report from European Commission in March, which will be as well a decisive one. But I do expect that all these remaining tasks, 10 points or more in the accession process, Croatia will fulfill. And on the basis of this report, some member states, which hasn't started, the ratification process will still do afterwards. So we are still in the process of finalizing Croatia's readiness. It's not only the open issue, of course, it's a decisive between Slovenia and Croatia. I do hope that the 1st of July will be a good day, and as we heard before, we should not really allow that European Union would send in the situation we live today with a political, economic, social and moral crisis to send a negative sign that enlargement is not going to happen, that we have too many problems inside and that we are remaining our doors closed. So let us move on, and I do hope that Croatia will be the 28th member.
Mr. Rouček, monitoring report has been mentioned already. EU diplomats say Croatia is on the right track. Zagreb has fulfilled 8 or 9 of 10 tasks from the last monitoring report of the Commission. Do you expect any more burdens on that path, and do you really expect that the ratification process in the remaining countries will be finished in time?
You mentioned those 10 points. I'm informed that, as you said, 8 or 9 have been fulfilled. What's remaining is one of privatization, one of the shipyards. Here, my information is that an agreement will be signed or should be signed by the end of February. And then one of the remaining, then the remaining point, some physical construction has to be built on the border, on the Adriatic coast between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. So this will be done, I think, by March. So these 10 points, I think, will be fulfilled. You mentioned the ratification because we should also know that it's not Slovenia only. We still have 3 or 4 other countries: Netherlands, Germany. Germany, we still remember some of the quite somewhat negative comments towards Croatia within the context of the last progress report. So Germany, the German Bundestag is waiting for the March 21st report. That will be the final report. I'm informed after this, the German Parliament, both chambers will proceed with the ratification. So again, I think it's on the right track, and it will be done in a timely manner.
Mr. Plenković, what is the state of play regarding that ratification from your information sources? What about Denmark, Netherlands? It's a step forward, but Germany really, can we expect May that ratification will be over?
Well, we are in close contacts both on the government and parliamentary level, and here with our colleagues in the parliament, with the representatives of all of those countries. It is just as we expected that few countries would remain until the very end, but I'm confident that both the Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, as well as Germany, even though what Libor said was a little bit in the media in autumn, but I think it is more a feeling of lessons learned with previous enlargements, the financial context of some of the member states, as well as the forthcoming German elections, which are due in autumn. So this is more contextual rather than Croatia related, so I think that all of those countries will complete the procedure on time, including Slovenia.
Mrs. Fajon, does Croatia still have more jobs, more tasks to be done before the accession? You have tabled one amendment, if I am not wrong.
Yeah, we just made few corrections or few improvements on the text, nothing very substantial. There are the tasks Libor mentioned, which I think will be a decisive one to judge in this last report. But of course, the ratification processes are ongoing. We cannot foresee now whether they will be finalized in timely manner, but I believe so. Let us hope so. Finally, we live in today's reality. We have Croatian observers in the European Parliament. It's kind of reality that Croatia is among European Union member states, so I don't think that we will, in one or another state, really jeopardize this membership of Croatia. But let us wait that our ministers, our financial experts and governments find a proper decision, proper solution for our countries, which I think it's in the interest of our citizens.
Mr. Rouček, Brussels doesn't want bilateral mines exploding in the middle of the accession process. In that context, what do you expect from Zagreb before and after the accession?
I think, talking to, of course, to my counterparts and colleagues in Zagreb, in the government, in the parliament, the Croat people know that this sort of accession process doesn't end with the end of accession, that the homework that has to be done, it's a continuous homework. If I can give an example of my own country, everybody knows that we still have to, improve the working of the public administration, constantly fight against corruption. So these are, some of the issues where we will have to focus on, or our Croatian friends will have to focus on, even after July the 1st, because again, it's in the interest of the country. Membership, it's also a chance to improve the life of ordinary people at home. For this, you need, more effective working of public administration, of the economic system, to use wisely and without any corruption the EU money, so that again you can improve your roads, your railways, your again functioning of the local administration and so on. So these are the tasks, and they are not just short term, but I would say also medium or long term tasks. And based on experience of my own country or neighboring countries, that's exactly what Croatia should be focusing on, no matter who is this year or next year or in 5 years' time in power there.
A member of the European Parliament from Romania, Mrs. Macovei, has tabled amendment calling for post-accession monitoring on Croatia. You, as a rapporteur for Croatia, are you supporting that request or not?
I'm not supporting that request when I come with my recommendation. So there will be clear minus on this amendment, on this proposal, because Croatia is not in the situation when the country should be monitored. As I said, our colleagues and friends know what has to be done, and I think the country is mature enough to do this without monitoring.
Mr. Plenković, let's clear up some points regarding that amendment of Mrs. Macovei. She is a member of European People's Party. Does that mean the change in the stand of your political group towards Croatia monitoring and accession?
No, absolutely. First of all, this is an individual amendment. Every member of the European Parliament has the right and the possibility to forward certain amendment on a report. This is a position of Madame Macovei, who is known to be very stringent as an ex-Minister of Justice, especially in the issues of judiciary, corruption, organized crime, etc. Let me state something very clearly. Croatia's accession negotiations were based on the framework which did not envisage any post-accession monitoring. That is why the Commission is coming up with a report in a few weeks in the context of the pre-accession monitoring, which will end on the 30th of June. And this is an opinion of one MEP, certainly not the position of the EPP group, and the shadow rapporteur, Mr. Posselt, just as Mr. Rouček, has a clear position against this amendment.
Mrs. Fajon, you have been asking for a comment, if I'm not wrong?
Yeah, I just wanted to add here on this, especially this amendment, that I fully support the line of my dear colleague Libor, who is a rapporteur. But just to come back on the issue of Ljubljanska Banka, it's a succession issue. So there are 5 countries involved to resolve this issue. It's wrong to talk only it's a bilateral issue and that it's jeopardizing the accession of Croatia. It's something we have to resolve, but the lesson we have learned is that all the other countries which are in the accession process on the Western Balkan will have to, or it's better to start resolving the open issues before joining the European Union in good neighborly relationship before the involvement of other international institutions.
One question still remains to be answered regarding the present situation in Vukovar. Mr. Rouček, what is your comment on that development regarding the plan to introduce Cyrillic signs in Vukovar?
I think, again, that's European norm because we have now soon 28 member states. We speak 23 languages, many minorities. So in those countries where we have minorities, when the minority reaches certain numbers, so I think it should have the right to, of course, to use their language, to use, in case of the Serbs in Vukovar, the Cyrillic alphabet. Because I think the Croatian constitution, the law on minorities is the right one. Wherever there are more than 30% of the people from a minority, so I think the minority should have the right to use their own language or to have bilingual signs. We have the situation in Istria as far as the Italian-speaking community is concerned. We have now similar situation in Vukovar or in other parts of Croatia where the Serbs live. Of course, I understand that after a war, after this painful, tragic situation, for many people, it's still very painful. It's difficult to accept this, but I hope as the time goes, the people will realize that we have no other options than to live not only next to each other but together, and we will come to when the Germans and French managed, or the Germans and the Poles, so I don't see any reason why the Croats and Serbs wouldn't be able to do the same.
And finally, question to all of you: where are you going to be on the 1st of July this year?
I hope together with Croatians and Slovenes celebrating somewhere in the neighborhood and our region.
You, Mr. Plenković?
Well, I think there will be a big celebration in the Croatian capital, as it should be on such an occasion, and I intend to be there. By that time, all of those issues, bilateral, acquis-related, negotiations-related, will, I think, be behind us.
Mr. Rouček, you as a rapporteur, have you already received some request to attend some of celebration in Zagreb or in Vukovar?
I haven't, because we have only early February, but I also expect, and I will want to be in Croatia, because it will be very important, a great day for Croatia and for Europe. So on that day they'll be in Croatia, and then we all have to go to Plavi Jadran to support a little bit the Croatian tourist industry. So that's also will be our message to our friends and colleagues here in Europe. Now we have a new member state. Many people went there, but many people still didn't go there. So let's go there. Let's see this beautiful country, because, as I said, will be a great day both for Croatia and for the rest of Europe.
Poštovani gosti, zahvaljujem vam na vašim odgovorima i na vašem vremenu. Cijenjene gledateljice i gledatelji, pratili ste Eurointervju. Pozdravljam vas iz studija Europskog parlamenta u Strasburu. Doviđenja.
Hvala, doviđenja.
Hvala.
Hvala.